everybody and welcome back to the channel, where it has been a couple of weeks maybe since we last did a speed art drawing from Twitch. This one, however, was a request of two people. The original request was from Outlaw Elsa, who, like myself, absolutely adores Mass Effect in all of its forms, be it novel, game or comic book. As well as the films, actually. I haven't watched that one for a while. I need to go back to that. But that's not the point of this. And also, the other person is one of my Patreons, Andrew Riley, who says that he really, really loves my artwork and would like to see this particular character drawn for you guys. So, you know what? We're going to mix the two together and we're going to continue on. Because as it's always said when you're trying to make content for this wonderful grind that is YouTube or Twitch, make one piece of content, make several things out of it, how's your work schedule? Anyway, that's really kind of not what we're here about. We're here to talk about Dr. Liara T-soni. She's an absolutely adorable Asari. Now, who are Asari? Well, an alien race from the world of Mass Effect on the coming from the planet Thesia. I do know what I'm talking about. Mass Effect was one of the first ever games to make me like sci-fi. I haven't really liked sci-fi. I grew up with Star Wars, I grew up with Star Trek. I prefer Star Wars over Star Trek. However, the Star Wars fan base made me hate Star Wars for a very, very long time. And it was thanks to Mass Effect that I got back into the sci-fi scene, as the saying goes. Helped along by the fact that there are space wizards that aren't Jedi. The space wizards of Mass Effect are, of course, the Biotics, of who Dr. Liara T-soni is an absolutely perfect example. Biotics, depending on their sets of skills, have lots of different abilities that they can use to defeat their enemies, protect their friends, or even just freeze you in place. I'm not gonna lie, stasis is a really fun one, especially when you are absolutely being hammered to death. Stasis a couple of your friends together, or not friends, but you know, your enemies into place and then take out one or two people, and then when they unfreeze you, just deal with them again. Barriers, they can create shields. The same way that like a soldier can boost their shields, a Biotic can create another layer of shielding over the top of their armor. My favourite Biotic that I ever played was from Mass Effect 3, the multiplayer, which is the N7 Fury. Absolutely deadly, but also the very definition of the words glass cannon. She could dish the damage, but she couldn't take it. Didn't stop her doing an awful lot of damage when dying. Annihilation Field is terrifying. If you want to know what that is, look it up. That, again, is not why we're here. We're talking about Dr. Liara T-soni. I loved Liara, but I loved her kind of like a daughter. I have never actually been able to do the romance option with her. I think, tell a lie actually, I think I did it once because I refused to romance Ashley. Ashley's just, I don't like that character. Kaiden's alright, but Liara T-soni is where it's at when it comes to the first game. I am very, very sad that they didn't give us the option to romance Garrus in the beginning, but hey, they didn't know how much of a freak we were going to be for the aliens, so yeah, it kind of makes sense that it came through in Mass Effect 2. So when you first find her in Mass Effect, as you're probably aware, or if not, she is floating in a stasis field. She is a doctor of Prothean technology, which is an ancient race that all current technology is based on, but they're an extinct race. Kind of like the ancient Egyptians. She's an Egyptologist, but for Mass Effect and their galaxy. She spent the last 50 years of her young life, I say young, compared to a human, she's 106 when you first meet her, but she spent the last 50 years as a Prothean expert. Now, the thing is, she's only just entered what's called her maiden phase, so up until the first 100 years of an Asari's life, they are considered children. They pick professions, and yes, things like that, they are physically adults. However, Asari can live to be 1,000 years old, or older. They're kind of like Krogans in that regards. The first 100 years you are considered a child, you are allowed to kind of grow into yourself, and then at 100, most Asari turn into what's called the maiden phase, where they gain a wanderlust, and they leave their homeworlds to find, to put it bluntly, mates. Asari have a very interesting way of breeding, which I suppose if you look at it does actually make them a biologically weak species, as essentially all they're doing to create a new Asari is taking genetic coding from an outside race. They're not actually taking any of the genes per se. It's a very interesting way of having the breeding cycle go, but it has been pointed out several times that while it could happen, it's probably not a good idea. Made even worse by the fact that if two Asari, mate together, they end up with the possibility of what's called an Ardakyashi, which is an evil soul-sucking Asari that kind of can't do what's called the bond. But anyway, that's getting by the by. Liara is actually what's called a pureblood, which is a bad thing, or a blue blood. She is the daughter of two Asari matriarchs. So, not a good thing, but she's just entered her maiden phase where she's going out wandering, and then she gets stuck in a Prothean dig site where Shepard finds her and drags her out to take her off into the galaxy to solve the mission of the world. Well, not just the world, the galaxy. Save the galaxy, let's leave it at that. She's an adorable character, but because of the youth to me and the fact that she has not yet entered essentially what is the equivalent of a teenage phase, I'm very uncomfortable by the fact that you can romance her. It's just my personal thing. Doesn't mean that I don't think she's the best friend in the world, because she is. She's absolutely adorable, and I really, really, really loved drawing this little blushy mess that is the Asari-Liara T-soni. I do remember in the original Mass Effect game there are quite a few times where you can make her blush. Anyway, as always, I do hope that you've liked what you've seen today. If so, please do like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care everybody, have fun, and goodbye.